This is what happens when you try and do something yourself.
And it's gone.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Some of you may have seen recently that I had this 996 along to Knockhill Circuit. Unfortunately, she only lasted a few sessions until I cooked the brakes. So today I'm going to go through the process of changing the fronts, and depending on how much time I have, I might do the rears as well. But essentially I'm going to try and do a full breakdown of changing the pads, possibly rotors. I'm not too sure if they need changed, but I'll have a closer look when the wheels are off. And yeah, however, I've got a bit of a secret to tell you. I know nothing about mechanics. The last time I changed a set of brake pads was probably about 15 or 20 years ago, and it was on a 2002 Nissan Primera. So I'm essentially teaching myself DIY. Have I picked the wrong car to do that with? Or do you think this car is the perfect age for people to learn a little bit of DIY mechanics on? So yeah, let's see how I get on and see whether or not I can get this car sorted out after the track day. So yeah, let's get on with it. First things first. Here's the tools and the kit that we're going to be using for the job. First and foremost, trusty bottle of iron brew to get me through it. Got an impact gun and wrench in there, although I probably won't need much of it. Breaker bars for getting the nuts off. A 90mm socket so that I can get the bolts and the lock and wheel nut off. And that reminds me, I will need to get the lock and wheel nut out of the car. I've got some needle nose pliers, some hangers, I've got a piston compressor, and I've got all the kit here for changing the brakes. I've got the new sensors, the new pads, new rear pads. I've also got new caliper bolts as well. These, apparently going by Porsche, are one use only items. I suppose it depends on the last time that they were changed, but just for peace of mind I'm going to go through and do it all, purely because I had a look over the records of the car and it looks like they haven't been changed in about 6 or 7 years. So whilst the car hasn't done many miles, and there's not too many miles on these discs and pads, I still think it would be good to give them an update. So yeah, here we go. Let's go and get the car jacked up. One great thing about the 996 is just how easy it is to jack up due to how stiff the chassis is. Let's just quickly go and do the other side. Jacking it up from the rear jack point will lift the front of the car, and then after that it's just a case of getting an axle stand under there. Dead easy. Here we go. Car's up. It's quite high, but it's up. Part of the reason why I've never done the work on my own cars before is because I've got friends who own garages, and it's always just been more easier and convenient to put the cars down to them and get them to fix it. You now join me as I have the car up in the air. I've already loosened off the bolts, so I'm going to take the rest of them off, take the wheel off, stick it underneath the car just for an additional bit of safety. Oh, it's not too bad tyre wise. It could do with a clean though. They're pretty banging. I think we should be okay. It's pretty solid. I shouldn't have done that with my gritty hands. Silly boy. I could probably do it with a torch, to be honest. Yep, I'm gonna go get a torch. See how we get on. Right, let's have a look. I've got my bendy torch. These magnetic torches are a must buy. They're great for sticking to the inside of the wing and just pointing wherever you need to go. Can I? Oh, you beauty. So I need to get these wires. I need to get this pin out. There's a pin over here. There's also other things going on this side. This is where the brake sensor clips into. And have a look, see how we get on. The first thing I need to do is remove the retaining clip that's holding in this pin that holds the brake pads in. There we go. Should have maybe got new ones. They're a bit past it. There's a pin that goes into this pin here. It just holds everything together. What I want to now do is just very carefully start to knock this off. Do watch though, because this will ping out. Take a note of where the clip is. Again, I should have got new ones. They're not great nick. Next, it was time to remove the metal clip that was holding all of the sensors and everything into place. After that, I was able to remove the pin properly. Okay. So now you can see that I can get the remainder of this out. And remember, take a note where the pin is. I need to go back in on the right side as well. Okay, so now I can take these more or less out, hopefully. The tyre wear sensors are embedded in the brake pads, so I'd recommend using a pick to try and get them out, because they can be a little bit wedged in there. Piece is still in. Okay. Right, there we go. Okay. So, pretty scuffed. Right, anyway, brake pads first. Now that the shims, pins and sensors are out, it's time to get the piston compressor out so that we can get the pads removed. So what this should do is allow me to compress the pistons and the caliper back in, so I can get the pads out. At this point I should have been able to pull the brake pads out because the pistons were pushed back in enough, but the shims that come with the pads, or the previous pads, were stuck to them, so I couldn't get them out without removing the caliper. So I decided to get straight on and just remove the caliper with the brake pads still in. Next up, it was time to remove the caliper bolts. Now, I wasn't sure at the time what they were. Older versions of these bolts on Porsche 996s were 10mm hex keys. The newer versions are 55mm torque keys. It's not, they're old. They are old. In my case, it was the older version of the bolts that I had, so I needed to grab a 10mm hex key from the garage so I could get these bolts out and get the caliper off. There we go. Relatively scot-free so far. Right. Now these have not been changed in a long time, going by the fact that it is still using the older caliper bolt type. As I mentioned earlier, these are single-use items as far as Porsche are concerned. However, I've seen people on YouTube putting them back in. However, I'm just going to replace them just because of how old they are. So we've almost got this one caliper off. Sorry. Before I took the final caliper bolt out, I went and grabbed a set of hooks so I could hang the caliper up. Now that the caliper was off, I could get access to the brake pads. Having had a look at them though, they looked to be in pretty good nick. They weren't worn down and they showed plenty of signs of life left in them. So I suspect that my problem was something a little bit different. Midway through getting this car sorted out, I have already removed the calipers, I've already got the brake pads out. Surprisingly, the reason I started this job was because I took the car around Knock Hill, and after a few sessions the tyre wear sensor has come on. I was thinking that the brake pads were worn, but I haven't had a look at the brake pads. Look, not only are they in okay nick, but I can't really see any issues with them. So I wonder if it was more the sensor that got nicked or ruined than anything else. But you can see here as well that the discs aren't too bad. I thought there might have been a lip, but they're not too bad. However, I've already got the new parts. I've already got nice new Brembos, pads and discs, so I'm as well putting them on. It's a learning experience after all. I've got all the bits here. I'll replace the wires and hopefully that'll at least get the sensor stuff off. And fingers crossed that I don't need to do the backs as quickly as I thought I might have done. But let's get back into the job. The next protocol for me is to give these brakes a bit of a clean and try and get the rotor off, although that screw looks super dodgy. After removing the one screw that was holding the disc on, I gave it a wee tap with a rubber mallet and managed to get it off the hub. There we go, that's the old disc off again. Look at it, it's fine. There's barely any lip or anything, so I really do think it was that one sensor. Hold on, I'll show you what the sensor looks like. Let me put this somewhere. So, look. Not sure if the camera will focus on that. Either way, the sensor's totally gubbed. So I think that was what was wrong with it, guys. But we've got the hub off, we've got the disc off, sorry. We're going to give the hub just a wee wire brush clean, tidy it up a little bit. It's not too bad actually. Again, this car has been looked after quite well, so I'm actually impressed at just how well looked after it is. However, I'm still unsure if I've picked the wrong car to learn mechanics with. I don't think so. I think it's a good choice, purely because it's at that perfect age where you can do stuff with it. I'm going to change over my gloves so that I don't get the new discs dirty, all the grime and stuff that's on there. I'll grab the boxes, bring them over here. Right guys, next up is the new Brembos with the proper amount of screws in them. And these are good looking discs. Oh, good size. Look at them. Lovely. Right, let's get the screws out. Be careful when removing the disc screws because they are made of butter. Too much force and you'll just round off the head. I honestly can't believe I got that bolt out. Great. Lost the screw already. There's one. There's two. And here's the screw bolts there, so... By this point, everything seemed to be going well. All the parts had come off and I hadn't encountered that many problems. However, little did I know what I would then see when I started on the other side. But I'm getting ahead of myself. What I need to do now is stick the new shims to the pad. And yeah, put them back in the car, I suspect. Now, how do I go about doing that? To line everything up correctly, I put the vibration pads inside the caliper, then put the brake pads back into there. After that, I then readjusted the pin and put the clip back in, so everything was placed as it should be. I've got too much shite around me. Now I'm going to fit the caliper bolts. These are the new ones here. You can see have a Torx head, and then the older ones here have a hex head. So if you're doing this job and you see these ones, these are quite old bolts, so I'm going to change them out, and I believe it's a T55 Torx screw head that you're going to need. So let's get these calipers back on. Ow. Blooper. After everything was lined back up, I put the bolts back in and tightened them by hand in preparation to torque. Now that the bulk of the brakes had been put back together, it was just a case of reattaching the retaining clip, hooking the sensors back in and putting them into the brake pads. Right, now that the disc, caliper pads and everything are back in, I now need to go through the process of tightening up the caliper bolts around the other side there. Make sure that you're torquing these bolts up to spec, as you do not want to over torque them. You want to be torquing them up to about 85 Newton meters. There we go, one. There we go, 85. So now all I need to do is cable tie this back up to here, and then we attach the wheel. There we go. One side done. And do you know what? It wasn't too bad. That is everything set to be reattached. Right guys, I've got 20 minutes to get this wheel off and get done. Everything on the driver's side started off great. Now that I knew how to take it all apart and put it back together again, I was pretty confident I could get this side done far quicker than the passenger side had taken me. The problems came when it was time to reattach everything. As I was moving and adjusting the brake caliper to reattach it back onto the hub, I noticed a small puddle forming under the car. All the moving around had broken the old brake line, and it was now leaking brake fluid everywhere. Sensing his job getting bigger and bigger, I decided to wrap it up and put the caliper bolts back in. This is when I learned the bottom caliper bolt wasn't getting any purchase in the hub, and we need either helicoiled or possibly even a time set to put right. Job had gone well beyond my capability.
Right guys, Porsche on the ramp, recovery truck. Yeah, you try and sort your own brakes, and as anything with a 25-year-old car, you just realise how brittle things are. So, to give you a rundown of what happened, change the disc, change the pad, the copper steel brake line at the back got nicked, so it started pissing brake fluid absolutely everywhere. And then when I started putting it back together, the caliper bolt, the bottom caliper bolt there, it's got zero purchase on it. So that means that the hub is more than likely threaded and rounded out, unfortunately. So yeah, it's going to cost all the money I thought I would save by not putting it in the garage. It's probably going to end up costing me anyway. So yeah, there we go. What are you going to do?
Just goes to show, you can never know the kinds of obstacles you'll come across when doing your own maintenance. The car is now down at the garage and waiting on my mate to sort the brake line and caliper bolt issue. Should I have just put it to him to begin with, or was I right having a go at it myself? Despite the issues, I think I was right giving it a go. What happened would have happened regardless. It was nothing I had particularly done, and it would have happened if I put it down at the garage anyway. Next time, I'll know what to expect and what to do to sort it, and I'll feel a lot more confident getting my hands dirty as well. I'll hopefully have an update in a few weeks when I eventually get the car back. I'm in no crazy rush just now, so I can sit there until he's ready to work on it. If you've enjoyed watching me ruin this 911, or just want to yell at me in the comments, call shotgun on the next one by liking the video and subscribing to the channel, and we'll see you then. All the best guys, thanks for watching.